All right, we'll take up file 2021-58058. Shannon Som and Trevor Jennings, and both are here. Can you both hear me?
Yes.
All right. And this is a date and time set for hearing in this matter. And Ms. Som has filed a motion regarding parenting time. Have the two of you had a chance to work that out?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Ma'am, why don't you explain to me then what you're requesting today and why?
I am requesting that his parenting time be examined due to numerous issues, but mostly in what I stated in my grievance that I filed is that he has since lost his place of staying in Kalamazoo, and after only being there for 4 months, has moved to Muskegon and continues to drive every single day to Kalamazoo to work, and continues to bring my daughter to the same daycare that he only recently changed as well every day to Kalamazoo, resulting in a very multi-hour trip every single day in a car that is subpar at best.
Okay.
I have quite the findings prepared if you'd like to hear it, or if you want
the findings, what do you mean?
I'm sorry, not findings. I have quite the complaints that I would like addressed if possible, or just at least concerns.
Well, did you put them in your motion?
Yes, they are all pretty much referenced in my motion.
All right, well, go ahead. That's what I asked you.
Okay. Well, I'd like to begin by reading a message that was sent through the Our Family Wizard app that pretty much summarizes all of my complaints. It was sent on January 15th, 2023, and states as follows. I wrote to him, I still have the messages you sent my mom about how you left her Miralax somewhere, so she hasn't gotten it. So have you been giving her that? I'm on the second big jar since the doctor ordered she needed it. You also threatened to call the cops on my mother after you left the laptop I bought you with my inheritance in her backpack that you and your lawyer lied about you buying and needing for work, but I decided to let you keep. After I spent $8,000 on student loans that you did not pay a penny on in over 10 years. You have done nothing but try to intimidate and threaten myself, my mother, my tenants this past year. You constantly try to argue with me over these things, but still refuse to tell me who watches her while you're at work. And when she has been going there for months, I don't even get to know where. I'm surprised you told me where you're living when I knew you were looking at places in Muskegon. This was sent after he had just moved into the place he recently got kicked out of. I also included when you forgot her jacket and offered to bring it back. You then made a big deal about having to bring it back, came back in a red truck and refused more information. She is constantly returned to me sick, and instead of buying her winter boots, you bought her a tablet to keep her preoccupied while I have bought her a winter coat, numerous gloves, snow pants, tons of clothes and crafts to do together. You continue to berate me and make threats to myself and others, all while refusing to tell me the most basic information, and took her out of the counseling that she desperately needs. When are we going to discuss that? It has been months since she has been in counseling, and a separation like this is grounds for needing counseling, especially when she shows such high signs of anxiety and emotional dysregulation. She has never asked to video chat with you, otherwise I would allow her to, even though you are frequently late to or forget about your time to chat with her. I am finishing up her room now as it is being painted as my Christmas gift to her, so I don't have time to argue with you, as I am very busy making her room everything she deserves it to be, while you keep bouncing from basement to basement with a person I don't even know in a place I once again have never been in. Friend of the court or your lawyer will be in contact with you soon. I am just done discussing things and will see you later today to exchange her. I will return her Paw Patrol blanket today when I see if you would like. His only response to that was, speaking of your tenants that you never would have known for me, if it weren't for me, when are they going to buy the house? If not, when we're putting it on the market. Does not address any of my concerns at all. I continued on that Mr. Jennings has continued to show instability and minimal regard when it comes to the care of our daughter. My daughter overheard an argument where both him and Miss Nancy, the person he was living with previously, got very upset, and he was kicked out of where he was staying after only approximately 4 months of being there. Mr. Jennings decided to move to Muskegon to stay with some friends in a house that they are currently building while continuing to work in and have daycare for Bridget in Kalamazoo, resulting in a multi-hour trip both ways every single day. This type of aggressive behavior is not unlike him, as he has been aggressive to myself, my mother, and my previous tenants in the past, and has been ordered to undergo anger management classes from a previous employer, and my daughter being subject to this is very concerning. Prior to this, he changed daycares to a what he called licensed facility on March 26th, 2023, after she received care from this person for only approximately 7 months. I'm not sure of the exact date when she began attending because he would not tell me. He informed me that he had changed daycare providers because this one would allow him to work his 10-hour shifts, which raises more concern to fatigue after working that long and driving so far to and from work with my daughter. Only after receiving a letter from friend of the court informing him that he needed to provide the information of her caretaker to me did he finally do so on April 3rd, providing me with information of the old babysitter after inquiring about this information for over a year. He refused to inform me of who was taking care of her for many months, while in contrast, she has been with the same daycare and preschool provider while in my care since May of 2021, and he has had full access to all of this information. He is also driving a vehicle that is questionable at best, which first appeared missing the first headlight on July 24th last year, and the second headlight has been missing since March 12th this year. In the almost year, he has made no visible attempts to repair either headlight. He was late to his weekly Zoom visit just recently on April 26th. Due to working on his other vehicle, he finally removed from my property after 10 months of requesting he do so by my lawyer and finally by a court order. The vehicle he was working on was parked due to it having a broken axle. I didn't include this because this happened after I filed my original motion. But my concerns with the vehicle after it was parked due to it having a broken axle is that it also has a leaky windshield, which was a problem before he parked it. And most concerningly, both doors are being held closed with ratchet straps. I am very concerned that he is fixing up this car to transport my daughter back and forth to Kalamazoo. Instead of scrapping said vehicle when the axle broke, he used the last of our marital funds to tow it back to my house, which made it clear where his priorities were, and is when I filed for divorce. Mr. Jennings continues to show instability by losing track of his days and being late for video chats, or unprepared as they are out to dinner, his phone is about to die, or they are driving and he is holding the phone on her to chat with me while driving, which was addressed in a previous hearing. He continues to forget or lose necessary items such as jackets, shoes, cups, etc., and even forgot her car seat October 9th, 2022 to transport her, in which case I allowed him to use my car seat. When he informed me that the new shoes I had gotten her just earlier this month were tearing up her ankles, last month, instead of him getting her taller socks to protect her ankles, he told me I need to get new shoes. I got taller socks and another pair of shoes, and she's had no issues. I even gave half the pair of socks I purchased to him for use and ordered myself more for while she's in my care. When I asked him about the bug spray, which also was not included in my motion because that recently happened, this last pickup and drop off on May 7th, when I asked him about the bug spray because the excessive amount of bug bites she had, he said the bug spray he had ran out of pressure. Instead of going to get her more, she was returned with 5 bug bites on her face and neck alone on this last exchange. He also could not be bothered by more Miralax for her when it was doctor ordered she be given it due to her CFTR, cystic fibrosis, transmembrane, conducent regulatory issues, and it helped with digestive issues. She has also contracted COVID while in his care on February 3rd, but he insisted on taking her when she tested positive on August 7th, insisting that custody orders superseded any sort of quarantine, despite me sending him the parenting time guidelines stating otherwise. She's frequently turned to me sick with ear infections, bad cough, runny nose, chapped out the lip, etc. He also continues to misunderstand the judgment of divorce, stating that he will, and I quote, gladly start taking start into taking her for weeks at a time, but will still be fighting to keep 50-50 custody during the school year, when the judgment of divorce clearly states that he will have custody of her 3 weeks of the summer months and every other weekend during the school year. This was finalized in November last year. He also has demanded that she have 2 primary care physicians, and even attempted to change her primary care physician April of last year, since he was now, quote unquote, paying for her insurance. Our daughter is finally in counseling after April 20th of this year, after me attempting to get her back into counseling after months of him stonewalling me to do so, and after doctor referral, in which during the appointment, he argued with me not only in front of the doctor, but also in front of our daughter, upsetting her and causing her to run to me for comfort. During this visit, when I inquired about who was caring for our daughter while she was in his care, he informed me once again it was none of my business. Upon seeing the counselor, they confirmed that a lot of my concerns about her anxiety, emotional dysregulation, and nightmares is likely due to an unstable sleep schedule, which I am convinced is not possible to obtain with the current situation Mr. Jennings is in. This last exchange, she forgot to turn her blanket, in which he insisted I come back to Muskegon after her bedtime to retrieve it. When asked if he would be available the following day, he informed me that he was staying in Kalamazoo the following night, which makes me continue to question how stable his living environment actually is.
All right, sir, where do you work?
I work at Landscape Farms in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Where do you live?
Right now I live at
Why'd you move to Muskegon?
I was under the understanding that when we got closer to the school year, if I were in a position where I would be able to transport Bridget back and forth to school, we could talk about the custody situation, and that I may be able to keep my week on, week off custody as long as I could get her to and from school.
Where's the child go to daycare?
Right now, she goes to daycare at Under the Sun while she's with Shannon, which is in Fremont. And then Sam's Care in Kalamazoo is where I drop her when I'm going to work.
What time do you work each day?
6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
What time do you leave Muskegon to get to work?
About 4.
What time do you get home?
About 6:15, depending on traffic.
Why don't you look for a job in Muskegon?
I will be as soon as I finish the last of my welding certifications that I've been taking classes for at Landscape Farms. This is actually my last week of my aluminum TIG class, and as long as everything goes well with my physical test and my written test, then I'll be looking for a job in Muskegon in the very near future, within the next couple of weeks.
So you're getting a welding license through training at Landscape Farms?
It's in-house certification. I've already received my MIG and my steel TIG. This one's my aluminum TIG, and while it's not a state certification, it will allow me to be able to pass most welding tests, most places that I apply.
So when are you going to start applying in Muskegon?
I was just waiting on the results for my final tests. So I should know by later this week. I'll probably start putting applications in next week.
What kind of car you got?
I've got a 1989 Mercury Grand Marquis. It's very difficult to find headlights and body panels for that car, so I've been doing what I can to make it work until I can either get another vehicle, get my other vehicle back on the road, or fix the one I've got.
So you don't have two working headlights, even though you're driving in the dark? Oh, you
No,
do?
I have 2 working headlights. What I do not have is high beams.
Oh, well, you don't need those. So starting in June, this situation should be over.
What do you mean?
Well, you said a couple weeks, you'll be,
Oh, starting in June, I shouldn't be having to travel to Kalamazoo for work.
right.
That's my goal.
So that would be 1 week of yours and 1 week of hers between now and June?
It sounds correct, yes.
And then you'll be living in Muskegon and your goal is to work in Muskegon as well?
Yes, it is. I'm probably going to start looking for something in the Fremont, possibly Newaygo area, so that my work will be closer to her daycare, but Muskegon's not out of the question either.
You probably can't put her in a daycare in Muskegon at 4 a.m. before you go to work, right?
No,
Why'd you end up having to move out of Kalamazoo?
I'm in January, I moved into a woman named Nancy Altman's house. I had gone and done a nice little 2-hour sit down with her and talked about rent and everything that would be entailed. We had agreed on $700 a month. And then, so I paid a $700 deposit. I paid $700 for January and $700 for February. And then at the end of March, all of a sudden she was saying that I owed her $175 because we had broken the $700 down into $175 payments weekly. And at the end of March, she said that since March had a 5th pay period, I still owed her $175. I disagreed. I'd already been looking for places in Muskegon because of the parenting situation. I wanted to be able to keep my week on, week off. So I was already planning on moving back up here as soon as I could. It was just a matter of finding a place. And she became loud with me and threatened to put my dog outside while I was at work and just let him go, and was yelling at me, as Shannon said, Bridget overheard. And when that happened, I decided that I had to get out of there immediately. I wasn't going to allow myself to be disrespected, my dog to be threatened, and for somebody to be yelling like that around my child for no reason.
So are you in Kalamazoo today then? Or are you still in Muskegon or what?
No, I'm in Muskegon. There was a mix up with communication with my boss, and he, instead of just taking a couple-hour chunk out for me to attend the Zoom meeting, he gave me the day off.
And when you gonna know about your welding test?
I should know by the end of the week. I'll go in and take the written test tomorrow, and Wednesday I'll have my physical test. I've been taking the physical test a couple times last week and didn't quite pass it. I had a couple little issues with my welds that they wanted to see me keep working on, but I should know by the end of this week whether I get the certification or not.
So if you get the certification, then the issue in the motion is pretty much resolved, correct?
Yes.
I'd like to point out that it still states in our parenting time order that the summer months of June, July, and August, he will have her 3 weeks of every month and 1 week. There's
Yeah.
no clause for if he lives closer or not. So next month, we are supposed to be beginning the summer schedule.
Yeah, whatever the order said.
Okay, because he continues to try to do 50-50 and go against the orders.
You would actually have more than
Trying to go against
50,
the
right?
order. I would just like to,
Exactly.
once I'm in a position to be able to take her back and forth.
I'm sorry, what?
Then you file your own motion for that. We're dealing with her motion today.
Absolutely. Nope. That was my understanding, was that I would have to file a motion for that. I
Yeah,
wasn't
and
trying to deal with that today. I was just trying to explain what my thoughts and reasonings were.
Okay. Since this is all kind of in limbo, I would find that for today's purposes, there's no change in circumstances that would allow the court to invade the parenting time and custody provisions of the judgment of divorce, which is barely 6 months old. You know, it's not inherently against a child's best interest to have to travel a couple hours here and there with the parent for daycare so the parent can work. I would not want to see that in winter months for sure, and the child will be starting school in the fall, so it won't be able to happen then either, but the party's judgment of divorce already accommodates that. And that wouldn't be a concern at this point. If the car has working headlights for the times that it's dark, that's fine. A car isn't required to have high beams, although they do help on occasion.
Can I
But
make a request, Your Honor?
at this point, I wouldn't see that this is an inherently neglectful situation or a situation that would rise to the level necessary to invade the parenting time or custody provisions. What's that?
That his blue car that has the doors being held closed by ratchet straps and the broken axle, he not be allowed to transport my daughter in that car, please?
Is that a problem, sir?
Nope, I will have that car completely fixed before she enters it.
I don't want her riding in that car at all because the leaky windshield was sitting for months. I do not have any clue what kind of mold and growth is going on in there. It is not safe at all. I do not want her permitted to ride in
That wasn't
car.
part of your motion, man.
I
Yes,
can
it was.
clean the car out, Shannon.
The motion mentioned a car that only had running lights.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he had been fixing up that car until the day I actually filed this motion because he was late to a Zoom meeting because he was working on that. So I did not have the ability to add that to the motion since it happened the day I had actually filed the motion.
All right, so if it's not in the motion, I really can't deal with it. We have this thing called due
Okay.
process where you've got the right to know what you're defending when you come to court. That's why
Absolutely.
you're pretty much limited to what you've pled, what you've put in the motion and served on the other party to tailor your arguments.
Okay.
I will put this on the calendar again on June 2nd at 10:30. We'll take a look at it, make sure everything is working out the way Mr. Jennings has indicated it should. And then, because that's going to go into the change in the parenting time at that point anyway, that the parties have in their judgment for the summer, but
So just to clarify, would that mean that he would be with her for that first week then of June, per the divorce per the judgment of divorce?
well, I think so, right? You said that you got the first 3 weeks of
Oh, yep, sorry, it does correlate, sorry. I thought that it had swapped around, but looking at my calendar, it is correct. Because she's away and then she's with me and then she would be
week
away
on,
for
week
the
off
first week.
until June 2023.
Yep,
During the summer months, June, July, August, starting in June 2023, the minor child, the first 3 weeks of each month. Or the defendant shall be afforded parenting time with the minor child the first 3 weeks of each month. You would get the last week until such time as school resumes, and then you have something that starts that's different in the September or around September when school starts.
yeah, okay.
All right, but I want to make sure that everything works out the way Mr. Jennings says it's going to, as far as this license and getting a job and moving and not having to maintain this the schedule. So we'll reconvene on June 2nd at 10:30 for hopefully a quick hearing, make sure it's all worked out. If things go haywire between now and then, though, I can certainly deal with that if need be. All right.
Okay,
Thank you very
thank you
much.
so much.
All right. Now, sir, I wouldn't anticipate that taking a real long time. So yeah, you should be able to work on that day, I would assume, and not have to take the whole day off for a hearing that might last half an hour or an hour.
No, understandable.
Okay. All right. So no changes as of today. We'll take a look at it again on June 2nd, see how things are going. All right.
All
Okay,
right, thank you
so
very much.
All right. Yep. See you then. All right, we'll take a file 2021-58058. Shannon Somm and Trevor Jennings both are here via Zoom. This is the date and time set for proceedings on Ms. Somm's motion. Matter was originally heard a couple of weeks ago. I was not convinced at that time that there was evidence presented that would be sufficient to modify the custody or parenting time provisions that were in the judgment that had been recently entered. Mr. Jennings, though, said things were coming together, and I just wanted to have one more hearing to make sure that that's all moving in the direction he said it was. It had to do with his certification for welding and his residence and things like that, because there was quite a distance between his employer and his residence, and the child was going back and forth at early and late hours. So I guess I swore you both in last time, so you're still under oath. Mr. Jennings, what's the status of your job and your living situation at this point?
The final TIG aluminum certification we were speaking of at our last hearing, that was on a Monday. The following Wednesday, I finished the test, passed it. A couple days after that, I received that certification. And then starting this coming up Monday, I have a new job in Coopersville, about a half hour from where I live. It's with Kaiser Manufacturing. The building is labeled as Port City Racing.
All right, so that's quite a bit closer than Kalamazoo, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so yeah, from Muskegon, I think that's 10 or 20 miles, maybe at the most.
I want to say it's like 23,
23
according
miles.
to GPS.
All right, certainly not a concerning distance. And you've got a job in Coopersville, still living in Muskegon?
Yep.
Okay. And you're gonna get your car worked on.
The little blue car that I've been working on, I had to get rid of that. I've still got the 89 Mercury Grand Marquis. It's in fine running condition. I have a couple of brackets. I just have to get the money to get a set of plow headlights that'll solve any and all concerns on the headlight issue, even though I do have headlights. I don't know.
You said it had headlights, just not high beams, right?
Yeah.
All right, so headlights are fine. You don't have to have high beams. There's sometimes a convenience, but certainly not a requirement.
And that's, like I said, I'm trying to make it so that I have high beams as well.
Okay. All right, ma'am, anything else you wanted to address as far as your motion's concerned?
I wanted to inquire if she was going to be attending Under the Sun daycare as he had previously recommended in our Family Wizard correspondences, or where her child care provider will be now that he is no longer working in Kalamazoo.
You know, who's going to be the daycare provider for your child, sir?
I've been in contact with Under the Sun, and my plan is for her to just go to Under the Sun on the weeks that I've got her, since we pay for and keep a spot open during those weeks anyways. So she'll go to the same child care provider she goes to when she's with Miss Home.
All right, so you're going to drive from Muskegon all the way to Fremont and then down to Coopersville to get to work every day?
Yep.
And then, okay, all right. Well,
My shift will be from 8 a.m. until 4:30. It takes about 32 minutes by GPS to get to Under the Sun from my house, and then it'll take me about 35 minutes, I believe it says, to get from there to work. They open at 6:30 a.m. It gives me plenty of time to make that trip, and then they close at 6 p.m. So again, I have plenty of time to get back to her before they close. Shouldn't be any issues with the scheduling of the child care facility.
Wonderful.
sounds good to me. Ma'am, anything else?
I want to let him know I will be in contact with friend of the court to let them know she will be attending 5 days a week. I currently pay for 3 days a week, so that will be changing the not child support, child care expenses. So I will be in contact with them later today and let them know the update so that he does not have to worry about it.
That's just probably going to result in a motion. I can run it right now if you both want me to for an updated child support, if you both want me to. I mean,
That's the easiest since we're here, get it all taken care of. Because current expenses is $33 a day. I pay $105 for 3 days a week of childcare. We'll be attending 5 days a week, so that will increase the cost. I will.
Or do you want me to rerun that right now?
I'm all right.
You're all right
Yeah.
with that? Okay. All right, let me switch programs here. All right, so ma'am, you said the current recommendation is based on $33 a day, 3 days a week?
Correct. Comes out to 105 a week.
99 or 105 is, yeah, 105 a week is what they put in, so.
Yeah.
And now it'll be was that
One
based on an hourly amount or is that based on a daily amount?
daily.
So 105 divided by 3 is $35 a day.
Okay.
And now it'll be 175 then, an extra 70?
Yep.
Per week, all right. And that's 12 months out of the year?
That will be until she begins school the beginning of September.
So then she'll be in kindergarten then or what?
Yep. So then that expense will be discontinued at that time.
I thought they did before school and after school care as well.
I need to inquire about that to see the start time for the kindergarten. But if we do need before school care, that will not be an issue.
Before school's not an issue. After school, maybe there's an after school program or something, which is usually some cost. It's usually not the same as like a daycare center though.
Right. Yep. That'll be a much smaller cost.
All right. So if I change nothing else in your previous calculation, which is pretty recent, except the childcare, and bump that to 175 a week, which is 35 a day times 5 days. That let's see. So the previous was 58 support and then a 78 healthcare adjustment. And then so that was a wash. 22 ordinary medical, 260 for childcare. That bumps it to 434 for childcare. So a total of 436 a month.
So because we're adding 2 days, my rate is now doubling almost.
Well, let's see. We went from 262. We added $70 per week, so we added 70 times 4.35 because it was 105 a week. Now it's 175 a week. So we added 7 times 4.35. We added $304 in childcare based on those 2 days. That's per month. And 436 minus 260. That was 434 minus 260. 64, 13 minus 7. So there was 304 in increased daycare expenses, and your support increased the child care portion 174. So just a little over half of that.
Okay.
So you're both paying about half. So if you're paying 174, she's paying 274, about 130, and you're paying 174. So your income must be a little bit higher. Otherwise, it would be equal. All right.
I've seen posts, her advertising having a new photo studio. I don't know that all of her income is being taken into account.
All
I
right.
have not made any money yet off of my photography.
I wasn't necessarily rerunning support from the ground up. I was just
Okay.
updating the childcare. Because I mean, I would assume if you've got additional certifications now, you may be making more than what was utilized for that calculation as well.
I don't know what that calculation was done at,
Oh.
but there's a possibility.
Well, let's see, I can tell you, but it wasn't my intent to rerun it from the ground up, just to update it for the childcare, but talking about it here. Oh, where is it? So she was running at 13 an hour, 22 hours a week. You were run at 15.75 an hour, 40 hours a week for that last calculation.
That's why she wasn't run at 40 hours a week, because there's no reason she can't work 40 hours a week, sir.
I don't know. I didn't do that calculation. I'm only telling you what that calculation was based on.
Okay.
All right.
That actually needs to be updated. I am now working 40 hours a week. That should have been followed up by friend of the court. I called and updated them when that change occurred.
Well, the friend of the court doesn't update just based on information. They only update when there's a new, when there's either a review done or a motion.
Okay.
So you're telling me now you want your hours updated to 40?
It would be accurate, yes.
Well, if we're doing that, I probably need to, sir, what are you making at the place you're gonna start working?
We'll be starting at $18 an hour.
18 an hour? I'm gonna put that in too then?
Yep.
All right, let's see what happens. So ma'am, 13 an hour, 40 hours a week, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And sir, what's the name of the company again?
The name on the side of the building is Port City Racing, but the email is headed as Kaiser Manufacturing.
How do you spell that?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. Do you mind if I look through my emails real quick?
Yeah, that's fine. Let me, Kaiser, Kaiser, maybe?
I think it's KEI, but KAI may be correct as well.
Coopersville, Keyser.
Oh, we were all the way wrong.
And 18 an hour. Okay.
Yep.
And is health insurance available? Let's see. Looks like, ma'am, well, you have the child care. All right, and then health insurance, is she on Medicaid or?
She is on Medicaid. She also has insurance through my employer as well.
And she has insurance with my previous employer. Now that I'm leaving them, I'm supposed to get paperwork about Cobra health insurance. I think it is. It's kind of a stopgap for between jobs.
Okay.
I'll be eligible for health insurance at my new job in 60 days, from my understanding.
Okay. Okay. So the previous employer, I can take that out for that health insurance. And then, ma'am, you have health insurance that you pay for through your employer?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
I do not know the approximate amount off the top of my head, honestly.
Oh, you don't know?
It is sizable though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you have a paycheck you can pull up on a screen, like a screenshot or anything?
Not on me. We get paper paycheck stubs and they are all at home. I'm currently at work right now. Is there any way I could email it or upload it later today?
Yeah, if you email it to both of us, both myself and Mr. Jennings, so he knows what that is, and then I can plug that in.
Okay. Let me get some- can I take down your email real quick?
Yeah, I'll send it to you here on the chat function.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know we could do that.
All right.
Wonderful. Here, I will screenshot that. Awesome. Cool.
All right, so I'll freeze this calculation, waiting for that additional information.
Okay. And Trevor, is your email, what is your email?
Chat as well.
Oh, if you can, that'd be cool. That would be very ideal.
All
I
right,
am scheduled to work until 3 today, but we are trying to work extra hard, get out early today. As soon as I get out, I will be sending copies of that to both of you.
okay, that sounds good. And I'll put an automatic review in there for the end of the summer, since the childcare is gonna change, so we can update that for childcare.
Okay, perfect.
One more question,
Yeah.
regarding the change in scheduling to the summer schedule. Because we're now into the first week of June on what would have been my normal week, would she go back to Shannon for this next week and then come back to me for the rest of June, or how is that gonna work out?
Whatever your judgment says, let me.
I know it's 3 weeks of the month she's with me, and then a week of the month she'd be with Shannon. I just don't know, because of, like I said, the month changing in the middle of a regularly scheduled week. And I wanted to clarify that before we got off, because that's probably not something that Miss Psalm and I will agree on.
Let's see. Defendant Trevor Robert Jennings should be afforded parenting time during the summer months, i.e. June, July, and August. With minor child the first 3 weeks of each month, with the plaintiff being afforded parenting time with the minor child the last week of each month until such time as school resumes. Provided further, unless the parties mutually agree on a different week for plaintiff. So it's clear the intent is that you have 3 weeks each month. So we are 2 days into June. So whatever. I mean, I guess, it's a little bit vague, because that assumes that each month has 4 weeks. First 3 weeks with dad, last week with mom, but only 1 month, February, has exactly 4 weeks. Every other month has an extra 2 or 3 days to make 30 or 31 days.
Right, exactly.
So I think, at this point, you're only 2 days in, you would still get the next 3 weeks. To make 21 days. And that would take you to the 23rd, and then there'd be 7 days left, and that would be a week. But I didn't draft this judgment, so I don't know what the expectation was on those extra days here and there. Because, like I said, each month does not have exactly 4 weeks, which your parenting time language seems to anticipate.
I believe the intent was the last Sunday of every month is when I would have her. And how, I don't know if she looked at a calendar and referenced it directly, but that was my understanding, was the intent of the Sundays, last Sunday of every month I would have her.
That you would get her back the last Sunday of every month?
I believe that was the intent, yep. And then I would have her until the following Sunday. I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I don't know how exactly that works out.
Yeah, it doesn't say that, so I don't know.
Does that sound reasonable?
You asking me or Trevor?
I guess if me and him can agree, him.
If you can agree, the order provides for that agreement.
Right,
Um,
because it is so vague.
yeah, if you don't agree, then there are 2 days in limbo every month, I guess. 2 or 3, depending on the number of days. Or 1, I guess, in a leap year. Well, no, February wouldn't count. This is just June, July, and August, so. There are 2 days in June and 3 days in July and August that are gonna be in limbo under this order.
Yes, I would say, is there any way we can have a conversation with a calendar in front of us and try to work something out?
That would be ideal. I don't have any way of accessing, I think if I pull up my calendar, it will stop the video. Would you like to discuss that now?
All right, let me, so 63 and 21. So under the order, if you just read the order without knowing what a calendar looked like, you would assume that Trevor would have 21 days at the beginning of each month. And Shannon would have 7 days at the end of each month. And that would be 84 days over those 3 months. In actuality, there are 92 days. In those 3 months, so that's 8 days that are not accounted for in your order. Okay, 2 in June, 3 in July, 3 in August.
2 in June, 3 in July, 3 in August. Okay.
But there are 8 days. I think it would be most equitable if
Sure.
you each got 4 of them.
Yeah. So then maybe
As
in
it's
June,
now, she gets a vast majority all the school year, obviously, the weeks of the school year, and then I lose a lot of time. And I also lost a lot of time at the beginning of all this when she had Bridget for 2 months and I had 0 contact, and then I was stuck to every other weekend for another month after that.
it was not 2 months. And the reason it's like that is because you get her for 3 weeks during the summer. That makes up for that time during the school year. That was the judgment of divorce that you signed and agreed to less than 6 months ago.
All right.
And
Now I feel like 4 and 4 seems
No,
fair.
this is not something that was motioned. I understand that there's a discrepancy and as long as parties agree outside of what's actually motioned and set for a hearing, as long as they agree on language to be modified, I'm usually willing to do that to save time and effort and having to file motions and other
Right.
things. It's not sounding like you're necessarily in agreement on how to resolve this. So I will, to keep the peace, put as part of the order that Mr. Jennings' 21 days would start today. And you would have 3 weeks starting today, and that leaves 7 days for you at the end of the month, ma'am. And that takes you right to the end of June. So June is going to be resolved that way. July and August, if you can agree on those 2 months and the resolution of those extra days, that's great. If you can't, one of you is going to have to file a motion to get that back in front of me to figure that out, or maybe call Mr. Greer or Ms. Unalander, whoever, they're the ones that one of them prepared this judgment, and ask what was the expectation, and the order needs to be modified, but I think June works out nicely because we're already on the 2nd. Mr. Jennings can get his 21 days, and then you can have the last week, just like the order says. But July and August, if you guys can agree on that, which I would urge you to do, to save yourself attorney fees and all that, we're talking about 6 days.
Right.
It just would make sense that you each got 3, I think. But if that's not what the two of you agree on, then like I said, contact your lawyer, see what the expectation was or the intent. If you can't resolve it that way, then one of you would have to file a motion on how to disposition those extra 6 days. All right?
Okay, I will contact Mr. Greer and he will be in contact. Thank you.
All right. If you do have an agreement,
August.
oh wait, what?
I asked her if she would like the 3 extra days in July, and I'll take the 3 extra days in August.
With her starting school in how about we reverse it with her starting school in late August, early September? You would get the 3 extra days in July. I would get them for August so I could take her school shopping and all of that. How does that sound?
I'm all right with that.
Okay, and then so your 3 extra days would be
Dad gets 24 days to start the month, and then mom gets 7.
start.
And
Okay.
then the next month, dad gets the 21 days and mom gets the remaining. All right,
All right, perfect.
all right. All right, I'll put that in here.
Okay, very detailed. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, anything else?
That's what I can think of.
All right, very good. You guys are all set then. I'll do those orders. I'll do this parenting time order now. I'll wait until this afternoon to do to finish that child support one up.
Okay, I will get that email to you as soon as I get out of work. We're hoping to get out early, so I appreciate it.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Yep.